Meeting to order. Welcome to the Bradenton Community Redevelopment Agency Board Meeting at 2 p.m. on Wednesday, August 12th. Let's begin by standing and saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, moving on to citizen comments. We do not have any citizen comment cards. Citizen comment will be accepted during the citizen comment portion of the meeting on any non-agenda item, future agenda item, or topic of relevance to the Community Redevelopment Agency, the City of Bradenton. Comments will be accepted on the public hearings at the appropriate time. Anyone wishing to speak? Any citizen comments? All right. Having none, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Go ahead and call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Anyone have any comments around consent?
Not.
All righty.
Mr. Chairman, if I might,
Sure.
we'd like to move item number 5 down to number 8, just to let Public Works move forward so they can get in and get out without having to listen to incentive talk.
Okay, perfect. So moving 5 down to 8, we will move on to item 6A. Item 6A, Community Redevelopment Agency, Public Works Interdepartmental Application, Private Lateral Replacement Program, PW Interdepartment Application, Private Lateral Funding.
Yes, hi. So CRA staff received an interdepartmental application from Public Works for a private lateral replacement program. The requested funding will be used to pay for the inspection, cleaning, and lateral replacement for qualified homes located in the Central and Tamiami Trail CRA districts. There's representatives here from the Public Works, and they're here to give a presentation with the details of the program.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
And thank you for listening to our application. I am going to pass around the handout so that you all have the reference copy.
There you go, that guy.
My name is Kim Clayback, and I am with Public Works and Utilities. I'm the strategic engineer, as well as some other things over there lately. And I am here with Irv Lee, our Public Works Director, Chris Eccles, the engineering manager, and Jennifer Haddich, who is the program administrator for the private lateral program that we are launching. What is a lateral? It is the pipe that goes from your home, where there's clean out right next to your house, and transmits any discharge to the main that's in the roadway. So, and that's all on private property. This is a brand new adventure for Public Works, doing work on private property, just so that you all know we are getting used to the private property piece of this as well. Today, we're going to talk about inflow and infiltration and what that means to a private lateral. We're going to look at public and private infrastructure, what process we have for our residents to qualify for this proposed replacement program, and what funding opportunities we have to help them with the challenge we have ahead for inflow and infiltration, along with our waterkeepers lawsuit. So let me qualify that in here as well. The number one goal that we have with inflow and infiltration, which is shown at the bottom in a picture. Infiltration, there's a hole in the pipe and the water just gets in the pipe. It's a break in a joint, it's a root, all sorts of different things happen underground to let water into a pipe, groundwater, or stormwater for that matter. Inflow comes through some direct mechanism. If the street is flooded above the manhole, it comes through the manhole. People attach their roof drains to the sanitary sewer system. That's unnecessary water entering the system. At our wastewater plant, we have 2.2 billion gallons per year that gets treated. 2.2 billion gallons. Our average daily flow is about 6 million gallons. On our worst days, we're between 35 and 40 million gallons. And that's when we have those unauthorized discharges and spills that everybody talks about. I&I contributes to the issues that we see at the plant. Also, the corrective measures and mitigating it help reduce those peak flows at the plant. And what our goal is to take that $35 million peak and shave the top of that peak off, somewhere between 10 and 15 million gallons off of that peak when we're seeing those excess flows, using a multitude of mechanisms to reduce I&I. And private laterals is part of the mechanisms to help us reduce I&I. Again, we've been challenged by the Waterkeepers Environmental Group to replace 100 laterals in key sewer sheds that were identified back in 2020. We did our I&I study. There are 4 sewer sheds that the Waterkeepers had thought were most critical at the time that they assigned this work. Lift Station 4 area, which is in wards 4 and 5, and it's in the central CRA. Lift Station 6, which is in Ward 2. Lift Station 7, which is in wards 2 and 3, which is the Tamiami Trail CRA. And Lift Station 14, which is also in wards 2 and 3 and in the Tamiami Trail CRA. So those are our high-risk sewer sheds as identified by the Waterkeepers. We have our Face It and Fix It program. And Face It and Fix It is about our infrastructure rehab. We've done that in our public infrastructure. We've worked over the last 8 years now, manhole lining. We've lined almost 1,300 manholes at the cost to the city of $6.5 million. We've also lined just over 202,000 linear feet. That's 27 miles. And that cost was just over $12 million to the city. We still have work to do out in our public system, and we've focused on the public system up till now. We're now looking at what we can do on private property. And again, public works, public money, public everything, and we've never crossed a property line intentionally to do intentional work, but we're being challenged to do that now. The laterals from people's homes to the clean out at the right-of-way line, they're cracked, they're leaky. Some are old Orangeburg pipe, and we've replaced some of those in the city, but we have over 16,000 laterals. I'm pretty sure we haven't replaced them all yet. We've got old clay pipe, we have ductile iron pipe, we have cast iron pipe, as well as PVC. Now, PVC is great, except if it sat out in the sun before they installed it, then it gets cracked. But our PVC pipe generally is the best pipe we have out there. But we have a lot of work to do. Working on private property gives us the opportunity to partner with other agencies in other parts of the city that we don't normally work with. We work on other things. But the CRA is one of those opportunities that we talked with the CRA group, and would they be able to assist and help in the private property? And they said yes. Yay. So we are here with this application today, asking for their assistance and for you to approve the assistance for some private lateral replacement within the CRA areas. So we have been challenged by water keepers to replace 100 laterals. If you look at the laterals, and we have 54 inches of rain a year, that's our long-term 100-year annual average rain, 54 inches. One lateral during a 1-inch storm will suck up, that's broken, will suck up 1,000 gallons of water. So 1,000 gallons times 54 inches of rain. That's a lot of water that's just entering the pipe from your home to the curb line. So we looked at it, will it ever be perfect? No, we put some reduction factors in there, and each of those 100 laterals are gonna be worth about 2 million gallons that we reduce flow to the wastewater plant every year, year over year over year. It's not just a one-time thing. 5 years, you're still reducing by the 2 million gallons a year. So it is a huge impact to our system. There's a lot of research out there saying, oh, laterals only account for 30% of your I&I. Some others say, oh, no, it accounts for 85% of your I&I. So we went with a modest center of the road here in terms of the amount that we have through our lateral program. But it's difficult to measure because you can't put a meter on everybody's house. But we are trying to do the best we can to reduce the issues where we know we have them. We've developed a selection process on how we went out to solicit the residents in the 4 sewer sheds that were identified as high risk. And the pilot program, which is this first 100 laterals, we looked at residential units only that were built prior to 1969. And they had to be located, obviously, in the high-risk sewer sheds. We sent out about 3,000 postcards to see if people wanted to participate in the program. And we had an overwhelmingly good response. We had 200 responses back, which is huge when all you did was send a postcard. So we've collected that information. We're working on getting plumbers in place that can actually do the work, because this is a plumbing permit. This is not anything to do with our public works permitting. It has to go through building. The services that will be provided is an inspection service, the lateral replacement on qualifying materials from the home to the clean out. And if there's not a clean out there, we're gonna put one in. And they'll restore the property back, because this is a replacement program. It is not a lining program, it is a full-on replacement program. Again, we received 200 responses over those sewer sheds. 14 homes were in the Central and Tamiami CRAs. There are 145 homes that we found qualifying in the Tamiami CRA, and another 50 homes in the Central CRA. So we have about 200 homes that qualify, and we only got, for the CRA perspective, we only had 14 responses. We need to do some follow-up and encourage these other folks to come to the table and be part of this replacement program and help reduce our I&I as it goes to the plant. Obviously, we have to sell that a little differently to the public, but for all of you, that's essentially what we're going to need to do, is get more people involved in the program. The first point on this slide was anything that was done before 1969, anything that was built before 1969. All this myriad of colors, is an age of development map. The bright green, and this happens to be the Lift Station 2 area, which is in wards 4 and 5. The bright green is homes that were built in the 1960s. And you can pretty well guess that they haven't usually done a lot of sewer work on their property, only if there was some catastrophic event. Anything that's in the purples and rose colors, those were built in the early 1900s. Those really haven't had any work done on them. So as we are analyzing, this is an analysis tool that we look at. We look at the sewer shed, we look to see what the average age of development is. Are there a lot of homes that qualify based on the time that they were built? And that was part of how we qualified the 4 sewer sheds. Back then, there was no PVC. PVC didn't come around until 1984. So it was galvanized, ductile, cast iron, all things that degrade. And if it was put in the 1950s or 60s, it's hitting 60 and 70 years old now. And it's plain old worn out. And it's got holes in it, and it's been stomped on and dug up and everything else over time. So we're targeting the ones that really need replacement. These are just 2 screen captures of what our CRA qualifiers look like. The one on the left side is Tamiami Trail, and all of the parcels that are outlined in dark blue are what are available, what qualify for the program in the Tamiami Trail. They're part of the 145 that qualify. And then on the right is the central CRA, and the parcels in green, outlined in green, indicate the parcels that qualify from the perspective of when they were built, to go back and investigate. And again, these are things we're going to pursue as we go forward, once we get through the initial pilot program and work out some of the kinks, because whatever you do, there's going to be kinks in it, and we want to make sure that we have those worked out before we roll it out any further. We have a multitude of funding opportunities. Well, not a multitude. We have some funding opportunities.
We will.
We have spent $20 million out there in the world already trying to remediate this, but we need to spend some more. The CRA grants is one avenue that we are looking at and hoping that you all will approve for this first phase to move forward with private lateral replacement at the 14 properties that have qualified. We've spoken to the CDBG and housing group about SHIP grants. We are also, as part of what you all had approved at least a month back in June, the CDBG disaster relief money that had come through Manatee County. One of the projects on there is sanitary lateral lining. It's a little different program, but again, it's to help shore up our sanitary laterals. And then the last resort for us is our water sewer enterprise funds. And I say last resort because we have so many projects that we need to do with that money as well. And if we can have good partnerships and good stewardships with our other agencies here, both at the city and in the county level, we can stretch those dollars further. So, again, you all have the presentations, so if there's any questions, comments.
Councilwoman Barnaby.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Clayback, I just want to make sure that I understood this, because you stated that in 2020, we began identifying these issues,
Correct.
okay? And that was prior to Water Keepers coming and suing us. So we were working on this before Water Keepers showed up.
Yes, we were. We actually started working on this back in 2017. We had a formal report due to DEP in 2020 that was the catalyst for the Water Keepers lawsuit. They pulled it out of DEP because it is public record, and that's what they used as the basis for a portion of the lawsuit, yes.
But we were working to address these issues.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, about we call for a vote.
Well, we haven't
We
had,
have
we haven't
we
made
have
a.
to have a motion first. Yes, that is correct. Do we have a motion?
I move to, go ahead.
I move to approve the grant request from Public Works to help fund the private lateral program.
Second. Should we
have-
put
In the amount of?
Should we put the amount?
Oh, yes, there's probably a
Amount of
suggested motion I should be looking at.
Up to,
Up to 100.
Up to 1 point, well, I thought it was 1.6. Was I looking at the wrong one?
CRA's portion is 105,000, up to
Oh, okay.
105,000.
105,000. Okay, gotcha. Up to 105,000.
All right, so yes, we have a motion by Councilwoman Moore and a second by Councilwoman Coachman. How about, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Decision passes unanimously. Okay, Mr.
I'll take it, yeah.
Yeah.
So next one is the second application from Public Works. And we received this application for the Phase 2 of the Downtown Waterline Project. The project addresses the critical infrastructure deficit in the urban core. The requested funding is to be used as a 40% match needed to submit for an EDA grant. Ms. Clayback is here to present the details of the program and answer any questions.
Hello again, everyone. So you also have this handout as we talk about the downtown infrastructure needs. And there is a lot going on down there. And I'm sure that you all have heard about things going on, but I'm going to put it in some map format and some dollars and cents for you. Potable water is part of public health and safety, which is our mission in Public Works. But where is the demand currently? Where do we see the demand out in the world? The downtown corridor is the biggest demand increase that we're seeing. Who wants the water? Ooh, there's a whole lot of developers out there ready to jump all over it, which is a great thing. But how much do they need? How do we get it to them? What's the timetable for getting it to them? And why we're here for this request. So we have a plan. So where is this water needed? The orange polygons represent the areas that are proposed for future development. The blue areas have generally been constructed within the last decade. Well, in the last decade, we didn't go out and ask developers to do wholesale improvements in our infrastructure, especially in downtown. Out east, there were some that were done along the way, but not in the downtown area. We have 14 proposed projects. That's the orange, that's what the 14 is. 14 proposed projects to be built in the downtown area. And we've had 7 that have been built already. How are we gonna get 14 more water? 14 more projects, 14 more high-rises water. So, I've been working on putting some data together, and these are the proposed projects with a estimated number of units associated with them, and we looked at whether they're gonna be 2.5 people per unit, 2 people, 1.5 people. Westminster is gonna be closer to 1. Some of the multifamily is gonna be closer to 2.5. So there's some different factors in how we calculated demand here. And through the 14 projects, plus an undetermined and fire flow that we had to put a placeholder in there because we're not sure where that fire flow is going to fall yet. It depends on the kind of systems that get installed. And I also included the demand based on what's happened in the last decade. So we've had just under 300,000 gallons per day in increased demand based on the last decade's build. And when we add that to what we're looking forward to in the next 7 years, there is another over 600,000. Total, we're almost at a new million gallon per day demand in the downtown area. The water system is all looped together. It's not like a lift station area that has a little part over here and another lift station here. The whole water system is looped. So what happens here affects what's over here to a certain degree. And we're looking and we're working at the last meeting, you all approved a water model update. We are getting our theoretical numbers back in line to find out where statistically and volumetrically where that water is needed. So there's a lot of work going into making sure that we are supplying water to where we need it, that we don't have dead ends on the system, we're not wasting water. And we're also looking at, aside from this project, how do we build redundancy and resiliency into our water plant? Because that's a huge issue. If we can't deliver water to the city because we have the dam getting breached again, that's a problem. This whole plan for the downtown development is part of our resiliency, though. We can't put them on the same water lines that the existing customers are on. There's not enough capacity. So what do we do to get them water? How do we get there? We have a plan. Not just for the water, but for the wastewater as well. But for water, you can see the big one at the top of the map, and that's phase 1 of the water mains. That's currently funded. It's been designed, and we have a CMAR on board to actually construct that. You will be seeing construction start soon, we're hoping. And as we move forward, that takes the water up to this building, because we all know this building is proposed to be demolished. And they're building a bigger building, and we have to get water there. Phase 2, which is the part that we're asking the $1.6 million for the match, is the red line that's to the left or the west for the phase 2 downtown water main improvements. It continues the loop around, and this is all a dedicated line for development. So the random library or anything else, the little library, that's a historical library that's out there, they can't come connect to this line. This is specifically for development, for all the new development that's out there. All that new development needs fire coverage, huge. When they're going to be pumping things up 5, 6, 7, 8, up to 17 stories, I heard, that's a lot of water. That's a lot of water to fill the system and a lot of water to keep it moving. So this phase is phase 2, where we're asking for the $1.6 million. Again, it's the 40% match for an EDA grant that the city that Public Works is working on. Phase 3 is coming later and involves, this is a preliminary look at what we might need to do with the orange lines that are there. We also have looked at an additional pump station downtown as part of phase 3, so that we are getting adequate supply. Again, it's 1 million gallons a day. So why are we doing this project? Why do we need it? Well, Public Works doesn't want to be the one to say no to development. Eek, we have enough things going on. We don't need to say no to development. We need to provide timely and reliable service. Timely is important. We have to be there before development starts, because they can't start development, they can't go on site and put materials on site until they have water. And I don't know that if in a series of construction, you can knock the building down, but there it sits, an empty lot, until you have water, so that you have appropriate fire coverage before anything else. So it's not always the potable water use that's the concern, it's the getting the water there for fire prevention. We're proposing the dedicated line for development. Public Works has funded complementary projects to support downtown already, to the total of $23 million. We have our phase 1 water main that we looked at on the map previously. It was the green line, and we funded that with enterprise fund and impact fees. The Lift Station 8 relocation, the lift station that's down right on Barcarata and 15th, that's coming up off the river and coming uphill and out of the floodplain, and will no longer pump water into the river when it overflows. That's a bonus. And that is currently in design. It's a design build that we have going on right now. They'll be breaking ground on that shortly. And that's a $10 million lift station build. We have to build the collection system to get it to the new lift station, so that everything that is between Third Avenue and the river, all has to have itself reverse slope on those pipes so that it can flow back to the new lift station. And that's another $6.6 million that's coming through our supplemental appropriations for disaster relief. And last but not least, the high service pump station supplemental lines. We have been working to design, and it's going to be going out to bid shortly. We had a single line coming out of our high service pump station. We're now going to have 3 lines coming out of our high service pump station. One goes due west, one goes due east, which is going to help the flow, the pressures, and the circulation in the system. And that should be starting this fall. It's going to be going out to bid within the next 6 weeks. So again, our infrastructure for this phase 2, we looked at the pricing on what it was going to take to put in that loop, and the cost estimate is currently at $4 million. In order to even apply for the EDA grant, we need to put up $1.6 million, meaning we have to encumber it somehow. You have to have that 40% match when you ask for funds, because you have to write a letter about it. And that's what we're here today to ask for, is that the CRA is able to provide that 1.6 million that needs to be encumbered so we can move forward with the design of the project, the design and construction of the project. Did I miss anything?
Ms. Barnaby, did you have a,
Oh, no, I don't have, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to take it down. I apologize. I forgot to take it down.
any other questions, comments? Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, would you hand the gavel to the vice chairman so you could make the motion, please?
Absolutely.
No, that way.
Vice Mayor, sorry about that.
May I have a motion, please?
I motion to approve Public Works interdepartmental funding application for the Downtown Infrastructure Development Project Phase 2.
In the amount?
I don't have an amount.
1.6. It's
1.6.
1.6.
In the amount up to $1.6 million.
Second.
Excellent. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Munion.
Yes.
Are we back at number 5 now, Mr. Munyon?
Yes, we are.
Okay, I just want to know what to pull up where.
Okay,
Thank you.
no worries. All right. Good afternoon, Chris Mignon, Assistant Director for the CRA. Staff is proposing modifications to the redevelopment agency's redevelopment incentive program. The modifications lower the maximum incentive cap, adjust the reimbursement split, and simplifies the accelerator structure. So, let's see. So why are we doing this? Basically, we are running up on the end of the CRA in the next, from now, 14 years. What's happening is that with our current incentives, the CRA, the current incentives are a 12% cap. So that's 12% on the improved value of the property. And it is a reimbursement of ad valorem taxes, with the base being a 50-50 split. As we are moving forward, we are not able to provide that 12% and pay it back in the amount of time we have left. So the examples here on the screen are basically today's example on a $1 million project and what would happen if we do these modifications. So right now at $1 million, at a 12%, at a 50-50 split, which is the base. That's a total incentive of $120,000. At this time, at the 50-50 split, it'll take us 17 to 18 years to pay that back. And we don't have that amount of time anymore. So this is where I proposed, looked at the numbers and see what would work for the next few years at least. And that is, if we make the modifications, it would change to an 8% cap, and a 70-30 split. So that would change, actually the total incentive would change there, but if it was still 120,000, it would be 9 to 10 years as opposed to the 17 to 18 years to do. So with that, we also had accelerators within our program for multiple, I think we had like, 16 different accelerators for different things, infrastructure, demolition, all that kind of stuff that gave them a basis percentage point above the 50-50 split. So if they did workforce housing, then they would get a 5% bonus of, and so their split, the total amount would stay the same, but the split would go from 50-50 to 55-45 in the developer's favor. And that's how we incentivize things. So what we did was we looked at having to go to the 70-30 split, so we reduced the amount of accelerators there were. And we reduced that down to 4 accelerators, which would be affordable housing, historic preservation, workforce housing, and public art. So these are, basically I talked about the changes. So the changes would be from a 12% to an 8% total, and then a 50-50 to a 70-30 split, with the affordable housing, public art, historic preservation, and workforce housing accelerators being at a flat 5% per each one. What happens here is basically if somebody were to accommodate all 3, because I'll get back to that in a moment, then it would be a maximum of a 85-15 split in the developer's favor. And then they would get paid back quicker. So you're looking at probably a 8 to 9 year payback period, then a 9 to 10 year payback period. And that just gets them off our books in the future to, start getting that increment back into the CRA. As far as the affordable housing, we do have in here affordable and workforce housing. The affordable housing would only be for the central CRA, and that's how we had it prior. That would be 80% and lower AMI. Or they could also do workforce housing, which is 80 to 120. So in central, they could pick one of the 2. And then in Tamiami and downtown, they would have to do workforce housing. So the maximum they could do would be 85-15. So what stays the same? Basically, it's a self-funding model, just like previously. So, they have to do the work, they have to start paying their ad valorem taxes, and then they get reimbursed. It's a case-by-case review. We still look at it individually and make sure it goes with our program's goals. We only pay on completion of the project, so they have to get completed and their certificate of occupancy or completion. They also have to provide the appraisal, so we can codify all the numbers in the amendment at the end of the day. So all the terms will be the estimated terms will be codified in an amendment. So all the terms are exact, because these are estimated values, because things change, variables change, the appraisal might change, millage rates change, things like that. So all these things at the end, when they give us the appraisal and the certificate, we'll amend the agreement to reflect that. Plus, it's board discretion is preserved. There's a binding agreement, and you have to approve that. The existing contracts will be honored, so previous to this, whatever's under contract will be honored with the 12% previous is what was approved. And then it also, it's on in all 3 districts that are available for the incentives. So in summary, it's simpler, a little more disciplined, more rewarding for the developer and the city, and the CRA, and is more focused on the accelerators. So we ask you to move forward with approving the modifications to the redevelopment grant, and I'm here for any questions you might have.
Any comments, questions?
Nicely done.
Yeah,
Thank you.
cleans up a lot.
I will make a motion to approve the modifications to the CRA redevelopment incentives program.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Coker and a second by Ms. Barnaby. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
And I really liked the design of this. It was very easy to read, and it would be, I'm pretty sure it's going to show up well on the screens at home.
Thank you.
So I really liked that.
Appreciate that. Okay.
Okay, moving on to item number 8, 8A.
This is Central CRA. We had a piece of property that we had an unsolicited bid on. Bryant Commons, just so you know, this piece of property, the CRA did not buy. It was given to the CRA by the city some years ago as part of, they had done it for some road work. Nice gift to the CRA. Also, the CRA had accumulated a couple homes, which we still own and are currently rented. We had an unsolicited bid for purchase and then redevelopment. The redevelopment is affordable. Trying to find out what the financing will be. Will it be rental? Will it be townhouses? That has to be worked out. There were 2 bids, so we put it out. Came to the board and asked the board for approval to put it out for sale. Board approved it. This is typical for us, follows the statute. And we had 2 bidders on the property, one for 511 and one for 93. We also had the property appraised, which was, I should let Todd handle this. This has been his deal. So go ahead, Todd.
So the property appraised that came in at $850,000, which included the housing as well. So if you back the housing out, the value of the land itself is around $500,000.
Okay, any questions or comments? I did have I had a question about the appraisal, but you just answered it, Mr. Campbell, so thank you. Backing out the housing.
Well, backing out the housing, has that been, the appraiser did that? Did you ask the appraiser to do that?
We asked him
Where did you
to,
come with
we asked him
300,000?
we asked the appraiser to give us the land value because it's a land development. He provided the value of the homes in the appraisal, and so I took the improvements value.
So he had itemized that amount.
Right. He included it after we asked him not to, but be it as it may, I took the improvement value of each of those 2 properties and deducted that from the total.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Do I understand correctly that we have an unsolicited offer for 510 or 511?
511.
But the appraisal is for 850, and you're saying that that's land only? Or no, that included improvements?
That included the housing and the vacant lots. We initially requested the appraiser to do a land value only, under the assumption that the homes would be demolished because they need to be redone. There needs to be money invested into those homes. So we made the decision to request a land value only. The appraiser did not apparently listen to our request, and he included in his appraisal the property, the improvement value on the 2 lots, which is the 2 homes.
And we
This
paid for this appraisal?
Well,
We did.
and also the appraisal does include the improvements.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, and you're saying
So-
you're trying.
We
to
asked
back-
for it not to be included.
Oh, no,
He-
I'm
he did
sorry,
what
I'm
we
sorry.
asked him not to do.
I misspoke. It looks
Yeah.
to me like the second to last paragraph says that it is land only.
In the appraisal?
They discuss a little bit that they assumed that the structures were of average condition, but I mean, I don't know if I'm reading this incorrect, if I'm missing something.
He says, note that our value conclusion was of real estate only land improvements, so he did include the improvements.
It did not, oh, I see, so it, land and improvements, but not any furnishing fixtures or equipment. Do we know what they want to do with the
Yeah,
property?
that was my question.
I'll let Dr. Burton speak to that.
So both parties wanted to do a higher density, well, right now, there's nothing on the property, so anything's a higher density. Wanted to either do townhouses that would conform to the city's form-based code, or do a walk-up apartments. One of them had discussed working with the hospital, since it's in such close proximity to provide, long-term housing for nurses and other folks at the hospital. The homes, we had them put the homes in the deal because you'd rather put them in the deal than back them out, than not put them in up front, and then have to go through this whole process again because, oh, by the way, we need the homes. City I worked for before Bradenton got into a lawsuit and lost it because they did that. And so we had them include them and told them both that, hey, if you don't need the homes, you can back them out. We just want to make sure everything's in when you put in your bids. The bids were put in, it went to the advisory board. The advisory board ranked them. The greater amount was first, and then the second amount. Next would be is to instruct the CRA staff to negotiate, which we would do, and we would work out what it is they want to do. First of all, they would have to do something that was allowed in zoning. I mean, that goes without saying. Second, we would have to bring that back. Estimated increased value investment by the private sector on this is probably somewhere between $5 and $10 million. And then we would bring that back to the board and do exactly what we've done in the other CRAs, which is bring a contract, bring the incentive package, and bring it back to the CRA board for approval. And then there would be a closing date set. They would have to get their financing in place. Since I don't have a final idea of what they want to do, I don't know if LIHTC will be involved. So we would have to bring that back. We're just asking that the board give us permission to move forward and draw that information out and bring it back to the board for final approval. So what would happen next is they would come in, do a presentation, show the board everything, elevations, the whole, how many units, whether they need the housing or not. And if it's something that the board agrees with, then we would move forward with contracts and incentives and move it forward like we have done with all the others. I have found that, if you have property and you want to see this investment by the private sector, then the best thing to do is to have as many of them out as possible. It's like catching fish. Sooner or later, one of them you'll hook them and catch them. So that's where we are with this one. Again, we're just asking for board approval to move forward and negotiate. it would come back to the board with a contract.
Ms. Coker?
Yeah, two things. First off, I would really like our appraiser to give us the appraisal as it is, so that we're not sitting here with an $800,000 appraisal and approving a sale at 500. I just think the appraiser needs to give us whatever we paid for, if that's what was asked. And second off, I just want to be sure, because I have no idea who this is, and I kind of would like to know who it is that's making, before I would, so I'm not committing to selling at this point. Okay. But I would really like to have that appraisal too.
We can bring that back as part of the negotiation to show you, if we paid for that, we can ask them to provide that, and we can have them bring it back as part of the deal, so you can see what.
I'm not just saying, oh, go look, change that number. I want it to be, you know, I just want to make sure we're.
I want it to be what the instructions were.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I can be a pain in the rear sometimes, but if I told my kids I wanted them to wash the dishes, I want the dishes washed.
We'll be happy to go back and talk to
And
the
I'm sure
person.
that I don't know, I'm not an appraisal, so, but I mean, there'd be a cost incurred to remove the houses that are there, and so does that get reflected in there, that the buyer would have to take, you know, so I just would like to have a better appraiser.
Sure, I'll reach out to him today.
We can bring that amended appraisal back to the board for your, just to have the, yeah. And again, the first question is do they need the houses? If they don't, then we'll still have the appraisal. But we just want to make sure, again, we just wanted to make sure all the property was in at the beginning, rather than them coming back later and saying, oh, no, we need more property because we need more parking or stormwater retention.
But his offer at this point includes the houses or doesn't?
It does include, yes, yes,
With an intent to demolish them.
yes,
Okay.
yeah. So,
Okay.
and if we're offering incentives on this deal, we're gonna ask the developer to demolish the houses. That shouldn't be on us to do that. That's what the
No.
incentives are there to do. I mean, it gives us negotiation power.
Yeah, they are not historical.
No, they're not.
Yeah, that was gonna be my question. To Ms. Coker. I mean, do you feel like I mean, I know you're not our realtor, but do you feel like because they just want the land, that it's reasonable to sell at just the land value, knowing that I mean, I guess part of the negotiation would be to demolish, but then I feel like we need to
It would
consider
depend on
that.
the condition of the homes, but I don't know that he's seen the homes. It doesn't sound like he's been to the homes.
No,
Yeah,
so,
I don't know.
so, again,
There's a lot of stuff that still needs to be done.
when you look at property at its face value today in a redevelopment, you're doing it as you're doing it as a normal market condition. The way that we should look at this is when we bring back what we've got to you, we will have an estimate of the incentives and the increment created from the new investment. You should look at it from the long run rather than the short speculative run, because that's not how CRAs work. We work off of how many years we have left, the investment by the private sector. We could sell $1 million piece of property for just the land value, which might be $200,000. But if we had a number of years, the full number of years, we could make $20 million off of the investment with the private sector. That's what we're gonna bring you back, so you can see what the cost-benefit analysis is of doing the investment with the private sector and the incentives on the property.
Do we already own the houses though?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
renting them out.
Yes, they're currently rentals.
Okay. This was assembled before.
Yes. Any further comments?
The only comment I have is, just want to know what they want to do.
Absolutely.
That's important. I'm ready to make a motion, if that's
Okay.
okay, Mr. Chair.
Of course.
Move to direct CRA staff to negotiate the terms of a purchase and sale contract with the highest ranked offerer to be brought back to the CRA board for review and consideration.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Coachman and a second by Ms. Barnaby. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No one in opposition, passes unanimously.
And one last comment, if I may. Also, would want it to go through the advisory board too.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. The last bit of business for today, I just have a few things. One is, it's getting closer to October. The FRA conference is now open. I'll ask this a different way. It is the 20th through the 23rd of October in Charlotte Harbor at the Sunseeker. And is anybody not planning on going?
Well, I'm gonna look at my calendar right now, if
You-
you don't mind.
Okay.
October 23rd, you said? Yeah.
It's
Because we want to make sure, I think this afternoon, told KK to book us at least 15 rooms. We can always let them go later, but it's better to have them than not.
Right, and so we're gonna be there the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th?
20th through the 23rd.
The 20th.
And that's all weekdays, right?
Yes, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
That's usually the reason why.
Friday night?
It's too much of a big chunk.
Is it through Friday night?
Yeah. I mean, they're usually finished up by noon on Friday. Yeah,
Yes.
so.
I have to check with my Mr. Wonderful.
I learned a lot last year.
Just
He is
make
wonderful, is he not?
Make sure that my calendar and his are in sync, so I don't do something stupid like I've already done this year.
Well, we do have the rooms booked, so booking the registration is a lot easier. We just want to make sure that whoever goes is actually in the hotel where the conference is.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So if you'll please just let us know, we will get you registered and assign you to do presentations.
What?
Homework.
Also, I
He's
sent
getting
out.
funny in his old age.
Also, I sent out an email yesterday that I had received from Todd regarding downtown lighting. The old lighting will begin to be removed at the end of this month and during September, along with taking staples out and patching holes. The new lights will be here hopefully in October. Go ahead, Todd.
Lord willing, yes, sir. They should be here early October to mid-October. They have to go through customs, which who knows how long that takes. And then their intention is to install early November, assuming everything works ideally with the shipping, because they're coming from China via boat.
How long do they think that it will take to install them?
3 days, yeah. It won't be 3 or 4 days. It won't be a,
Do we have Winter Wonderland this year?
that's December 5th.
December 5th.
So I sent the request to Jeff, Dr. Burton, just because the timeline's pushed. If anything, anything comes in, it could prevent us from having those installed by December 5th. So prior to giving them the green light to remove what's there and, doctor up the holes and everything that have been put into the trees because of the staples, I wanted to make sure everybody was aware of it, number one, and that we had the green light to move forward with that, because there's a possibility that they may or may not be installed. I'm pretty sure they will, but I can't guarantee.
It's not a problem. Santa will just bring you coal.
That's fine.
So
Wanted to let you know.
we're gonna have we are doing everything we can to have Christmas, or not have,
I-
have lights in the trees.
I'm doing everything I can plus some to have lights in the trees for not only this year but years to come. We have a maintenance plan tied down that's going to be part of our budget, so that it's not the city that has to go out and fix these issues, or it's not a last minute, concern. It's every quarter or as needed. Downtown Action Team is going to put that on their daily checklist to ensure that the trees are lit and lit accordingly, that if any strand of light is out, they report it to FPL, which is FLP, Florida Lighting Pros. One of those two. So we've got not only do we have a plan to get them installed, we have a plan to preserve them and make sure that they look great moving forward.
Hallelujah,
Yes, ma'am.
hallelujah.
You can sing to your heart's desire underneath the beautiful lights of Main Street.
You'll get cookies for Christmas. Next is, just checked on the website, Love Park closes tomorrow. So hopefully everything will go well with it this time, and we will be able to move forward with ranking and bringing in a contractor to do the work. So, but it closes tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Just to let you know that we have finished the slum and blight study for a 4th CRA. It has to go to the city council. Before it does that, it has to be certified, mailed to all the taxing authorities in the area that do taxes, including Swift Mud and the mosquito control in Manatee County. It will be a resolution. We've already started working with the attorney to get that done. It'll be probably in September, just because we want to make sure we get those ads out and everything documented in plenty of time. We're not rushing it. And then once we get the slum and blight study to the board, the city council will have to determine that there is slum and blight and that there's a need for redevelopment. The language is in the statute that is in that resolution specifically, and then we will move from there. So if you have any questions, feel free to stop by, and I will be happy to go over it with you. We have a preliminary map. All the slum and blight areas were specifically taken from that map. And we do have a little bit of flexibility. It will include a lot of roads, so which connect all of the properties. And finally, if I could use the overhead. We were asked at the last meeting to do a, hopefully you can see this, and I'll show you the numbers in a second, a revenue projection or a increment revenue annual projection. This is the money that comes in annually to the CRA through increment revenue. It's not your budgeted account balance. This is the revenue coming in annually, okay? And the blue area is the data point, or the data points all the way back to 1997. That's as far back as I could find. It does go back a lot further, but that information isn't available readily. And then the projected orange is the what we look for all the way to 2040 when the CRA shuts down, the downtown. And I will give you copies of this. This is, I know this might be a little bit hard to read, but this is the actual projection. It's hard to get it all on one sheet of paper. Right now, in downtown, we're about $5.7 million, and by the end in 2040, and this does not include Constitutional Amendment number 3, which I will see if I can adjust this to include that if you want that. We're looking about $7.8 million. That is if all things remain equal. That is if there are no new developments and incentives. This is just projected off the increment revenue that was collected over the last 20 years or so. So it's a 95% accurate, and that's downtown. And again, I will make sure you all have copies of these. This is Central. And Central has fewer data points because it wasn't created until 2004. But it has a pretty good trend going upwards. If constitutional amendment number 3 passes, this CRA will be hit the hardest. Right now,
So what's orange? What are the different colors?
yeah, I can do green and gold.
Huh?
I can do green and gold.
No, I'm
We're
just trying to
just
figure out-
asking
I'm trying to get
because
an overview.
What's,
Yeah.
oh, the
the
blue?
next time you have a chicken make you a chart.
The blue is the existing, the past to the present.
And what's orange?
Orange is the projected to 2040.
And what's that other color? Gray?
The other two pitchforks.
Yeah.
That's blue.
No, this thing,
Look down across the bottom.
What is it?
You can't read the legend.
You can't read the legend
Yeah,
on the
we can't
bottom.
read the legend at the bottom.
That's years. That's every year.
No,
the-
what the
the-
colors are.
Color, the
Please don't be
grays
obtuse.
are the lowest projection and the highest projection.
Oh.
That's
Okay.
the middle projection.
Oh,
I see,
Okay, all right.
okay, it's the median.
It could be, you know,
Ah,
Okay.
thank you.
So right now, we're about 1.798 million. And by the end, we're looking about just over $2 million a year. And again, with the constitutional amendment, that could really affect that greatly. Tamiami Trail will look a little interesting. We had a drop. Sometimes in the blue, of course, is all the past points, and then the orange is the projected points. And this is from 1997 to 2040. And the data points show that it was $1.82 million 2025 and projected to be actually be about $1.698 million by the time we end. You know, sometimes these projections, with the number of data points, they a little wonky. So I think it'll be greater than that, especially with any type of, every time we do an incentive deal and the private sector invests, it pushes that value up. We need to be cognizant of the fact that anything that has homestead exemptions attached to it could very well give us a lesser return on our investment. So when we do, for instance, a commercial building or an apartment building or a industrial site, right now, that is good after January 1st, if it passes. Anything with homestead exemptions, like condos, anything like that, would have an effect on us. You know, I hate to speculate about anything in Tallahassee, but you got to figure that by giving the homestead exemptions a break, at some point there's going to be a migration of the revenue over to all the people that are not homestead exempted. And within probably 5 to 10 years, they'll be in Tallahassee talking to a new legislature, asking for a break also, which leads me to think about things like alternative revenue streams that are insulated from Tallahassee. So it's probably very healthy to think that way. We got to find legal ways to do that. But, you know, we're living it right now, when you're at the mercy of another political entity and they can affect your revenue streams. Bradenton is relatively in good shape because it does have a good mixture of non-homesteaded properties. But there are other cities out there, smaller cities, that are more bedroom communities, that they have a much higher percentage of homestead exemptions. And it's going to be interesting to watch what happens if it passes and what happens with those communities. So, you know, I stopped thinking about it because it was starting to give me a headache, and because there are just too many unanswered questions. And there's a lot of people that I talk to that just, I don't know. So we are also working on what happens if and what's best for the CRA to move forward, to do our job, to continue to do to provide as much benefit as possible. Things like infrastructure that we heard from Public Works today, that will be relatively easy for us to do because that was included in the spending that was provided in the constitutional amendment. Things like parks, economic development, those will not be so easy, but we have ideas on how to move forward with that. And it's a wait and see kind of approach. So, but we are thinking a lot about it, and just wanted to provide that. Again, I'll send you all emails with all of these where you can see them in greater detail. But that was asked for, and we wanted to make sure you had it. So that's it.
Thank you, Dr. Bradenton. Anything else?
I have something. It has been brought to my attention several times. There's I'm saying statue, but it's not really a statue, but there's something that's representing Reverend C.D. Lazier. And it's at Norma Lloyd Park. It's been there for years, but it has been defaced, destroyed, whatever word you want to use. And it's been brought to my attention most recently by a family member. I would like maybe the board, the advisory board, have that on their agenda coming up and discuss what can be done, or
We've talked about that park. It's a very large park.
yeah.
And being a large park, it requires a lot of attention. We've talked to them about that, and but we can take it back to them. Also, I know the city is doing a parks study.
Yeah.
Be happy to have them come back in and give us an idea of what their plans are, the city's plans are for that particular park.
And I thought I remembered that, but I didn't ask Ms. Clayback at the time today, but.
I can also tell you that preliminarily, it's not written in stone, but the new CRA that we are projecting to the city includes that park. It's one of the larger pieces of property, but it's the largest piece of property in Central that we would be putting into the new CRA. And the reason is because we're talking to the city about all the parks. And if this new CRA generates increment revenue like we project, it would give the city the ability to really take care of their parks to a higher standard. So this is what we're looking at with this new CRA, is how can we legally invest with the private sector and reap the benefit of that investment, and then turn it around and help the city with activities that are in the statute and currently allowed by the state constitution, and partner with the city on those things. And then we'll worry about November in November. But that particular park is one of the pieces that we looked at and identified as in need, and in need of you know, a lot of investment.
And if it is replaced, definitely have to consider how it's structured, you know, so that it can stand the test of time.
Just for clarification, are you saying there's a monument?
It's not a monument. It's not a statue or monument. It's like there's some, I don't think
Some
it's
kind of
marble or
tribute.
anything, but it's a tribute
Okay.
to him, and I think it had, like, the his face
Okay.
on it, and it's just
So,
all
so
gone.
the request is for us to take a look at revitalizing that. Okay.
Shouldn't that go to the Public Art Board?
We can
Oh.
take it to the Public Art Board.
Yeah, well,
But I would like for the CRA Advisory Board to also be aware of it. I
Right.
mean, because it's, culturally something that they would recognize.
so what we'll do is we'll actually go take a look at it
Get some pictures.
and talk with the Central CRA Advisory Board, and then we'll see what they have to say, and then we'll work everybody together. So we'll work the advisory board, the Public Art Advisory Board, to see what we need to do. If it's something that just needs to be refurbished, is it something that's just,
It needs to be reconstructed,
Okay.
probably, and with
If it was
different
bronze,
materials.
Somebody probably tried
Yeah.
to.
okay.
Yeah, we'll,
Same
we'll,
thing
That's why I'm thinking.
we'll do a field trip and
the
get some
Public Art
pictures
Board,
and.
Because you're gonna require all that.
As long as someone from the advisory board that can speak to the importance
Mhm.
of that.
Sure.
That
Sure.
piece.
Thank you.
We can bring back their recommendations and
Mr. Chairman?
give us direction.
First, Ms. Moore, did you have
I
a
did.
question?
Oh, okay.
comment?
Well, yeah, I apologize, I'm not super familiar with the monument, but,
It's
re-
not- Well, I'm
It's
used
not-
the word. but-
well, and Dr. Burton said that the whole park might need attention. I recently was asked about community outreach events, like the one that happened recently in Manatee County. Is this potentially a suitable thing that you might want to consider talking to the advisory board about turning it into something that community members can partake in?
Could, but, yeah, you should.
Throwing that out there.
Slow it down.
I like that idea. Ms. Barnaby?
Yeah, I'm not gonna make a motion to do this, but I really liked the way that you presented it as opposed to Dr. Burton's chicken scratches there, so. Perhaps we ought to adjust your job description to include all public displays and handouts.
it was like on one of those pin printers.
I'm not sure.
Papers that have the holes in the sides.
I honestly thought he came and got a chicken from your house and. I'm just playing. Gee whiz.
Any further discussion, comments,
It's-
questions?
Just one thing, I was asked recently by just someone from the community, and this is something I didn't know, which found it very interesting. We're gonna petition the city and at least figure out if it's even possible to rename or put a name over a street. It's the street behind the Manatee County Health Department, right behind the Wawa. Apparently, there was a lady that lived there that came to Manatee County specifically. Her name was Viola Welch. And she was the first African-American registered nurse in Manatee County and delivered over 500 babies. And she lived on that street. And a friend in the community mentioned, is this something that we could do to honor Miss Welch? And
She also lived on Third Street West and 10th. Yeah, at least that's where I knew her all my life.
And I told him, I said, as far as the city road is concerned, as long as we keep the numbers on the road, that should be fine, but I'll double check.
The city has done honorary, like Bob Bart's Way kind of thing.
Yeah.
But, if it's something that the CRA would want to pay for,
Would like a placard or some kind of other what are they called? Like how we have out front, in front of the selfie pad that says that we had our first post office or year, the historical marker, yes, thank you. Would a historical marker be something that could, because that's movable. So
I will talk,
theoretically, you
I'll
could-
talk to the city and find out what their process is. once they have a process, don't mess with it. It's easy to work through their process. So let me find out what it is. Definitely somebody that, when I looked her up and read about her, was like, wow, this person, one of those unsung heroes we never hear about. And,
Mama Welch.
and we're going to move forward, and again, if it's something the CRA, I don't see we have a problem with that, especially if it's just renaming the street signs on a particular road, which has been done in the past. So, but I'll get back to you on that once we figure. I just wanted to let you know we were working on that. It was asked of me, and I wanted to keep it in the forefront of my head because otherwise it'll get lost in there, and then I'll be backing up. So, but interesting story. And when we come back, I'll have maybe a story for you with hopefully a picture of her, and so you can see it. It caught my attention. She just was like one of these people that you made a phone call and she was there. That's it.
No further comments or suggestions, commentary. We are adjourned.